From the official FBI X account, today we're announcing the seizure and dismantlement of several illicit video game marketplaces. From February to May of this year, there were approximately 3.2 million illicit downloads. And these downloads caused an estimated loss of $170 million. That is always super frustrating to hear because that's assuming every single illegal download was going to be purchased at full price. And that's not how any of this works. Many people that illegally download or pirate things were never going to buy the game in the first place. So it's not lost money, but they count it just the same as lost money. And it's not. That's not defending piracy, but my point being is it's very curious how they really want to go after people sailing the open seas instead of, I don't know, figuring out what happened with the Epstein situation. It's very strange to me that this is their focus right now. But anyways, this is the image they shared. This domain has been seized by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in accordance with a seizure warrant issued pursuant of 18 U.S.C. 2323 issued by the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia as part of a law enforcement operation and action by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, fiscal information, blah, 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 all this additional information, all this FBI stuff. Great. Okay. And we have Joshua done with what everyone's thinking. Prosecuting Epstein's client list? Nah. Prosecuting gamers? Yep. If buying a video game isn't owning it, then pirating it isn't stealing. True. The FBI. Gamers. How can you steal that which you cannot own? Maybe the FTC should make it so developers can't remove your right to use the game you purchased without refunding you. By the way, that is a fantastic point that no one ever seems to bring up. Like when Ubisoft took the Crew offline, Ubisoft should have been forced to reimburse 100% of everyone who purchased the game, who could provide proof of purchase to it, to get full 100% money back to it. Because if we're going to be using the same math that the FBI uses for illicit downloads of how much it costs for the loss, then we can use the same math saying when a game company takes a game offline, that they need to 100% reimburse every single person that ever purchased it, every single time. Funny how that only works one way. And this is the full story on it coming from FBI.gov, Atlanta. FBI Atlanta seizes major video game piracy websites. The FBI's Atlanta field office announced today the seizure of several online criminal marketplaces providing pirated versions of popular video games. In addition to the seizure, the FBI has dismantled the infrastructure of these websites. By the way, they're dismantling the infrastructure of the websites. These websites were great for preservation of these games. And are they just all brand new games and that's all that's being pirated? Or is it a backlog of a lot of older games that are hard to get, hard to find, or maybe removed from many websites, things like that? So you never know what's going to happen, but it's not a great thing to see preservation take a hit like this. Between February 28th, 2025 and May 28th, 2025, records indicate a total of 3.2 million downloads occurred on these sites from the most used download service. These actions resulted in an estimated loss of $170 million. According to who? And how's your math? How are you doing your math? Because I would argue this actions resulted in an estimated loss of $0 because most people that pirate games have zero intention of buying games. And the ones that do, ironically, use pirating as a form of testing the game before they fully purchase it. That is something that happens too. As part of the actions announced today, the FBI has obtained authorization to seize the domain of multiple sites to include nsw2u.com, which if I go to these websites, I wonder if it's going to just show that. Yep, there you go. This is that nsw2u.com, which is Nintendo Switch 2u.com. I'd imagine that Nintendo was probably assisting in pushing the FBI to care so much about this. Curious. NSWDL.com, which sounds like another Nintendo Switch site. Game2u.com. BigNGame.com, which sounds like another Nintendo site. Man, these sounds like a lot of Nintendo sites here. PS4package.com, PS4package.net. Okay, so 2 PlayStation ones. MGNetU.com. These domains hosted and facilitated access to pirated video games. Anyone visiting these sites will now view a seizure banner that notifies them the domain has been seized by federal authorities. The FBI would like to thank the Dutch FIOD for their assistance in this investigation. And this comes to us from PC Mag. FBI seizes sites that offered pirated Nintendo and PlayStation games. Crackdown targeted these sites that I just talked about here. This is a picture of what it looked like on the site. And oh my God, would you look at that? Nintendo 64 games being pirated. Oh, how much is Nintendo making off of Nintendo 64 games these days, guys? The FBI has seized 7 websites. On Thursday, the FBI announced the crackdown as users began noticing affected sites has been replaced with a seizure banner. Seized sites includes these as well, which also offered downloads for Nintendo, PC, and PS4 games. In addition, the FBI took over another site, mgnet.com, which could help users share torrents to video game downloads. For more than 4 years, the websites contained pirated copies of highly anticipated video games days or weeks before their official release date. That's impressive. How? They know someone at the store or at the factory printing the games? Like, how does that happen? That's crazy. So far, the FBI hasn't commented on the crackdown, which is causing some gamers to complain. But the FBI's website, Seizure Banners, mentions the involvement of Netherlands Fiscal Information and Investigative Service, which investigates financial and tax crimes. So it's possible the operator of the seized sites is based in Europe. And this goes over to Reddit. It says, RIP NSW2U, shaking my head. That's why I have plus 10 terabyte external drives to store everything I want to play at some point. You're a wise one. Me too. I mean, I may also have some hard drives that have a lot of games on them from way back in the day. And it's something that I'm like, thank God that I do, because it's getting so hard to find retro games without feeling like you're going to have people like rappelling down your walls and breaking through your windows. It's like, I just want to play an old game. What the hell, bro? Do you remember, by the way, there was like a 10 to 20 year period of time, and I'm not even exaggerating, where retro games were just left to die. And Nintendo didn't care about them because they saw no value in them whatsoever. And they even started giving them away with Animal Crossing on the GameCube. You get like 22 different NES games. Full NES games were just given to you as rewards in Animal Crossing on GameCube. It might have been like 18, something like that. You have like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Excite Bike, Mario, Metroid. There were like a bunch of them on Animal Crossing. And they just gave them to you. They didn't say anything about it. It was just like a fun little surprise. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then Nintendo was like, wait a second. People really like these ROMs. We should probably, instead of giving them away, sell them. And for like 10, 20 years, Nintendo wasn't doing anything with them. And FuncoLand was selling copies of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for 11 cents. The original Mario Brothers Duck Hunt was 5 cents. They didn't care. No one cared about these games for so long. But once they realized that there was people that actually wanted to go revisit them, then they were like, oh, wait, we need to crack down on these websites, start arresting people and making examples of situations. I'm like, whoa. Just because there's money to be made here now. Because before there wasn't, no one cared. But now there's money. It's different now. It's different. But anyways, people are rightfully very frustrated with this situation. And back to the PC Mag, they said, whether Nintendo sparked the investigation remains unclear. They did, in my humble opinion. However, the company has long been hostile to any piracy, including of old Nintendo games. For a while, yes, they've always been anti it, but they never really cracked down or did anything about it. until they realized they could make money about it. And then they're like, oh, this is the business. This is an arm of our business. So we're going to start going after people to make sure we can hoard all that money ourselves for these games that literally we weren't making money off of anymore. We had moved on from them. In the US, the company has even been bricking Switch 2 consoles that have been detected running a third-party flash cartridge that can emulate Switch 1 games, which is true. But in addition to that, there are now rumors that Switch 2s are getting bricked from buying used games from like a GameStop or secondhand store. And if someone has the game key stored on their Switch 2 and they're able to access it and play it, and then they sell it to the store, and the store sells it to someone else, and they put that cart into their Switch 2 and try to play it, the Switch, it goes online. It recognizes that it's on another Switch, and it's on the Switch that sold it, and it's bricking the Switch. I'm like, how did Nintendo not think of this? That's insane. That's a big problem. That's a huge problem. If it's true, that's a huge problem. But there's a lot of confusion around the entire situation right now. But yeah, this situation is a mess. And again, it's only because there's money to be made, and Nintendo realized it way after the fact. But when nobody was making money on Nintendo, no one cared to take any action or do anything. Now all of a sudden, we got to get the FBI involved. God forbid you worry about Epstein and getting the actual information out there for the people. No. Let's start going after the people that are playing retro games that, oh, by the way, they might already own. That's the other thing that no one ever talks about when it comes to quote unquote piracy sites is technically you're allowed a backup of the game that you own legally. That is the law. It always has been. Now, there might be some gray areas around, do you have to dump the ROM yourself for it to be your own, or are you allowed to have a backup of someone else's ROM because you own the game yourself and it's the same thing? I don't know the nitty-gritty details of the law with it, but suffice it to say, when it comes to emulation, it is a massive gray area that these companies continue to act like they are the law with it and they make the rules when the rules have never really even been established with it in the first place. That's a great point, Karate Werewolf. I didn't even think of that. Karate Werewolf for the 2 says 170 million is nothing when one game can make $1 billion plus. It's all about greed, which, oh, by the way, that's why so many of these game companies are trying so hard to rush to the live service, because they're like, they see the Fortnite and it just prints money forever. And if we can just create a golden goose for ourselves, we can sustain this company for eternity. We just need our own Fortnite. And what happens? Everyone's trying to make their own Fortnite right now. And it's like, no, Fortnite is Fortnite because it was unique to what it was. It was the first thing that did what it did. And sure, a lot of things can build off of it, but if you're not doing it better than what they do, then why would people play it? Why would they buy it? And Fortnite's free, by the way. Concord wasn't. Marathon's not going to be. Sergeant Sapient for the 5. This is just to make it look like the FBI is doing something. These ROM sites are whack-a-mole, and they know that. Most of them aren't even in the US. It's a very good point, too. With the mirror sites, I mean, you can go to the Pirate Bay, and the Pirate Bay has like how many mirror sites to be able to use? I know Pirate Bay is like Boomer JT when I say Pirate Bay, because no one uses Pirate Bay anymore, including myself. I haven't gone to Pirate Bay forever. But there are so many mirror sites of all these other sites where you can just get them somewhere else. So yeah, you're 100% on point with that. This doesn't do or change anything. This is just for them to try to make it seem like everything's stopping. It doesn't stop a damn thing. Mark Smith for the 5-banger. I knew the Fungal Land Peeps where I used to shop because I was there a lot. Me too, bro. Me too. And they gave me a free NES that someone left behind. I still have it. That's awesome. This is Boomer JT coming in here. Like back in my day, I remember when Fungal Land was just like the stacks of NES games. It was like heaven for me. I walked in there and like 11 cents, 25 cents, 8 cents. I'm like, I could have been a multi-billionaire if I just bought all those stores back then and just waited. But I was like, I already had so many, like my NES collection. One of these days, I'll probably go through my NES collection and show you guys. It is massive. I probably have 500 NES games, like the physical cards of them, maybe more, maybe 600, like, or 700. I don't even know. There's so many of them. Uh, it was heaven for me to be able to go to that store. I'd go to Funkoland all the time. I'd get the little flyers. I'd highlight the prices. I'd circle the games I want to buy. Like, oh, I loved it. I loved it. Oh, I love me some good Funkoland talk. It's been a while. And they had their own little dust slider sleeves that said Funkoland, and they're all like neon colors. That's so cool. Love Funkoland. Toxin says, show me your massive collection. I want to see it. Well, I do have like 85% of the entire N64 library. And I probably have, I don't know, how many NES games were there? Like 2,000? Probably have like 25% or 30% of the NES. So I have a lot of physical games still, much to my wife's chagrin. Schizo Sweets for the 2. That is one hell of a profile picture, by the way. Thank God for retro game stores. Yes, thank God for those. Although they are seemingly fewer and further between. But I will say, in honor of me going to yet another game convention next week, Southeast Game Exchange, if not going to game stores, the retro game conventions, it's like Funkoland for me. The prices are a lot higher now, but still being around all the retro games, I love that vibe. It just takes me back. It's amazing. Houndry says it's good for game preservation. Plus, it's fun dunking on the FBI. I mean, right? It's like the FBI. Can they do anything right?